Chael Sonnen was the one that really started. Tito, I guess, was the first one that really tried. Tito just wasn't very good at it. Let's just be honest. He wasn't a good trash talker. He wasn't comfortable speaking. Chael was the guy that, man, he never used a cuss word. He, just, came up with these little rhymes and riffs, and he sounded like, a professional wrestler would in doing them. He had the right timing. Even when you do an interview, and I would screw up his interview because he would give the line and he wanted to walk off, and I would grab him by the neck, say, "Come on back here. I need another question." And he would say, "I'll give you this one." Right. But, he was great. He was unbelievable. But even he had that moment where he crossed the line. Conor McGregor had that amazing, and I'll say it was amazing when the UFC had that media day where they had all the fighters up there, 3 rows, of fighters, and all the champions, and he went through all of them basically. Donald Cerrone tried to get to him, and that didn't kind of work. And RDA, being the champion, he said, he came up with the, "Baby, it's red panty night day," whatever, all that stuff. Chad Mendez, chimed in, he just shut him down. Jeremy Stevens, said something about the hardest hitting guy, put that away. And he did it in a way that made people just go, wow, incredible. And then there's, that point where he can't continue in that fashion without crossing the line. When he got to the point, with his fight with Habib, he crossed it. He said stuff that you look and you go, you just turned me off to the point I never want to see you win again. I don't want to see you fight. I don't want to see you win. I don't like who you are now. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but that's a lot of people. That's the way they look at it. And Colby had that same thing. And when you get to the point, and this is the one thing that I will say about with Colby is, even after that fight, and I know Dana said that Colby looked old and slow. Leon made him look that way. Let's just be honest. I hate Leon doesn't get the credit he deserves, because it was the way that he went out in the beginning, and you saw Colby shoot on him and he stuffed the takedown and all those things. Colby looked the way he looked because of Leon Edwards. Okay, flat out. You can sit there and say anything about the ring rust. Maybe he had a little bit. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have fought more. I thought he did. I thought he should have. It was one of the things I said. But it was Leon Edwards that made him look that way. Even at the end of it, Colby, with in that freaking character, who did he put it on? Oh, the judges. The judges don't like him and don't like America, and that's why it's like the judges don't have enough problems. They got that fight perfectly right, did a great job, and they still have someone put him down. But Colby, and he crossed the line with what he said about Leon's father, and you look and you go, how many people, truly, you said it, I'll never pay to watch Colby Covington fight again. And how many people did he lose? Because I do think there comes that point with everybody that does the trash talk where they'll do something that someone goes, I'm not watching you anymore.
Yeah, it's not like I said. Look, I started off this. I knew we were going to go in this direction, talking about Colby, talking about the trash talk, talking about Sean Strickland, talking about Dricus and their altercation. And the reason why I started off the show talking about MMA fighters being educated is because we've gone away from what it seems to be an educated group of athletes to this nonsense.
Yeah.
Look, if you can't put it together, which is so remarkable that Connor is, I don't know if he's college educated. I don't know. But the way he put his words together
fantastic
was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I always, for me, his I know he broke out obviously with the red panty night and all that other stuff. But that whole the double champ does whatever the fuck he wants, that to me was so on cue. And it's one thing to deliver this stuff during press day. It's one thing to deliver that, but to deliver it in the moment after a win that which he had in front of thousands and
what was
thousands of people.
the one that he said that was, I mean, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over.
Yes.
I mean, you look and you go, oh god damn, man, what a line.
It was like I said, remarkable. That type of trash talk, that type of banter back and forth is what got people to fall in love with him.
Oh yeah.
And then on top of his fighting, I mean, the way he fought was very impressive also, knocking people out, Hey, don't get me wrong, we all know that there was a lot of fights that were set that fit his style.
Sure.
But the UFC knew what they were doing.
Smart.
And they were smart. That's a little bit of structure set up like boxing. Let me pick the fighters that we think that will best fit his style to make for entertaining fights. You can't say they were scrubs. No. He was just because Max Holloway was one. Yep. Justin Poirier was one.
Yep.
Like there was, Dennis Seaver was no slouch on the feet. He wasn't a big, he was thicker and stockier and stuff, but he was no slouch on the feet.
He would stand and sling with anybody.
Exactly. And so, he got a lot of criticism because of the Chad Mendes coming in on short notice to take the fight and all this stuff.
No, that wasn't his fault.
That wasn't his fault. I agree. No, I get it. But people would say, I did say, like, he is taking this fight against Chad. If Chad had a full camp, I'm not sure that this fight would have been the fight that the UFC would have given him. And that's not on his fault either. He probably would have fought him. It seems Conor at that time, in that era of his thing, like during that time, I believe that he would have fought anybody. They just chose to make sure that he was on the right track to be marketable because of his gift of gab. But like I said, I started this whole podcast out with, we went from Cal Poly educated Chuck Liddell, who maybe had a mohawk and, didn't look the part as if he was educated with the tattoo on his head. But man, the guy was college educated. Randy Couture, like Oklahoma State. These guys all, Mark Coleman, Ohio State. I mean, like, let's not be Kevin Randleman, Ohio State. Like, let's not be mistaken. Like, these guys were all educated. And this sport came at a time when they got done out of college going, okay, I just spent my whole life wrestling or my whole life playing a sport or being an athlete and nothing to prove for it. Yeah. So this, I can make 10 grand. I can make 12 grand. I can make 15. I can still work a full-time job and do this because I'm way more superior of an athlete than all of these guys. The most wrestlers were superior athletes. They just had to learn the martial art. That's why they were getting caught by jiu-jitsu guys like Hoyce. But once they learned, guys like Mark Kerr, guys like Mark Coleman, guys like Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, they all made names for themselves because they were college educated, because they were smart. They understood wrestling. They understood the grappling. They learned it. They knew how to fast track their way and have success. We've gone away from that. Now, a lot of these fighters, I think, have come up, boxing, kickboxing. They've come up MMA style. So they're better in terms of in there. But the trash talk has gotten to an all-time low of just straight out of like a playground setting. It's disgusting. It really is. It's like it's not even like mom jokes. It's worse than that, John. What's the worst thing that you can say to somebody to get a reaction out of them? Bringing up your father's, murder, bringing up, whatever it could be, it just, your father's death, your father's murder, like your country's, like, I get the whole country thing, but things that are out of a fighter's kind of control, I don't know. Leave your religion, leave wives, kids. The things that Conor said about Khabib's wife, I think he called her a towel head. Like, what the fuck? Where do we go with this? And when you get to, like you said, when we get to this point though, John, is we're losing fans. We're not gaining them. Like, these things now, and I get it. I read some comments where people go, no, now they're going to pay to watch them lose. No, you're going to have some that will, yes, but you're actually losing more. Let me give you an example. The NFL is at an all-time high right now, but the stadiums are not at an all-time high. You want to know why? because drunk idiots have ruined it for people to take their families.
Well, there's a whole lot of reasons. You're right. There's drunk idiots, and it's cost you so much to take your family there.
This is true, yeah.
That it's like, what do you expect out of the average man?
Yeah.
Not easy.
But so there's people getting like the Niners and the Raiders when they play, like almost guaranteed someone's going to get stabbed.
Hell, what are you talking about? I used to work the games as an LA police officer and stuff, and it was because that way I got to see the games too, so it was kind of cool. And so look, what I did admire though was I admired how, and maybe it was done on purpose, which I believe it was, but not thinking that like this would happen, was the Strickland and the Drickus thing. Is that they would actually go to blows. They expected a little bit of back and forth, but I don't think they expected. No. I don't think they expected the jumping of the chairs and all that stuff. No.
It's just not. It's not the way that this sport.
It comes down. It comes down to what Scott Coker told you at a certain point in your career. Hey, if you want to fight for free, tell me.